If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell icon to get the latest updates.
Hi everyone, good morning, good evening. So myself Akshay, I'll be taking you all through this MDG training. So I think most of you are, this is the first session, I believe, right?
Yeah, for me, this is the first session. I couldn't make the last one, so I listened through the recording.
Okay, great. Fine. So I hope all anyone from this group or from non-SAP background.
I am from non-SAP background. I have not done any SAP trainings or any kind of thing.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. So you have any background like any overview of SAP and how it works, kind of thing?
I have read something, but never implemented. So kind of have been through a training of MDG, but it was more like the tool that they have for bulk data ingestion. I forgot the tool's name. Did that way back sometime, and that's all I have. So nothing in terms of implementing or doing any formal projects with SAP. Never done that. So that's my current standing.
Got it.
I am kind of worked in S4 implementations as a PMO, PM capacity, and I've got some sort of knowledge on different modules and different things, but not anything in detail. Especially the initial S4 HANA overview, also not very known, but generally worked as a PMO there, so I know a little bit.
Okay. So, and Jaswin, you raise your hand.
Yes. I was just waiting for my turn. So I have experience in delivering multiple S4 HANA side, but I work prominently on the data migration piece. So I have a decent idea of the MDG suite and other things, but I am not very hands-on. I am also more on the delivery side, on a delivery manager kind of level. So I understand technology. I used to be a bots developer, that's like long ago. So I still can review code, I do that, but I don't really log too much into the system. Like even transactions wise in S4 HANA, I understand all the different transaction BPs, and so on, like all are going into a table level and pulling data. So more on the data validation side, I understand.
Got it.
Cleansing, I understand. But I'm not a hands-on person. Even what I'm expecting out of this course is to acquire knowledge enough to be able to run a program if it comes to an implementation.
Understood. So that is actually.
So definitely no ABAP background. I can read ABAP code, but I'm not an ABAPer, or I understand the technology. I can kind of read and understand what the logic is going on and things like that.
Okay. So I think that is more than enough for Jaswin for this MDG course. Fine, let me share my screen and we'll start this. Okay, and if at any point of time, if you have any questions or anything, just raise your hand, or else I give a logical pause in between, and then we can discuss further. Okay, so first, let's look at MDG as a solution or tool, right? So what is MDG? What we do using MDG? And before that, getting into that MDG as well, who are the intended audience for this particular training as well, right? So first thing is MDG is one of the tool, or we can say add-on component in SAP, right? So that is SAP is as an ERP application, or where it provides an solutions for running the different businesses. Okay, so like we have in SAP like material management, there is a one module. So this material management deals with what are the, I mean, end to end of your material flow, right from the material creation till the goods movements or purchase orders or sales orders, the maintaining the stocks and everything. Similarly, you have something called SD, sales and distribution, where we will be dealing with different the sales processes. And similarly, you have something called WM, warehouse management. Okay. And we also have something called in finance space, right? All the finance related accounting, how we can maintain. Similarly, we have something called SRM, okay, and CRM. So likewise, different these kind of modules are there in SAP. I mean, it's a more, there are many more. I just highlighted very few over here. Okay, so these are the out of box, like I mean, provides a solutions where any business can actually adopt or they can implement this particular module, and they can do the customizing to handle some of the business requirements, right? So to their so it's a fully configurable solutions. Okay, so in that, as similar to like this, so this particular MDG is also one of the add-on component that actually offered from SAP, right? So where when you activate MDG on any SAP system, so then you can actually run through that all the master data governance processes in wherever you implement this one. So this is one of the MDG is one of the add-on component in SAP the whole suite. Okay, so this now, who are the target audience for this particular course, right? Or what kind of roles that we will actually expect in MDG? So one is developers. So the developers are nothing but who actually do the coding, right? So that is like a ABAP coding, right? So these developers are one of the target audience. Okay, so that means who are actually already having an exposure in SAP and who knows this programming skills. So the usually ABAP is the program platform where we actually develop all these solutions, right? So who are already working on ABAP in different modules, if they wanted to learn any MDG course. So these are the one of the target audience. The other target audience are the functional. Okay, so functional is like who will be actually configuring the system. So in general in SAP, we have two type of roles, functional and development roles. Functional are who are actually interacting with the business, and they will understand the business requirements, and they will try to map it to your SAP, whatever SAP is offers the standard solution, right? So similarly, developers who will be actually helping the functional in building the solutions. Okay, so functionals are also one of the target audience for this one, because in MDG you have functional topics are also there, a little bit of development topic is also there. So both are there. Okay, so that's why either MDG functional, MDG developer, technical, these are the two roles we expect in any client side, right? And also there are some who are actually techno-functional. When I say techno-functional, so they know the functional configuration. At the same time, they can also do a little bit of coding, or they can understand what, at least they can actually talk to the developers and they can understand how the solution is coming up, right? So those kind of roles, we call it as a techno-functional roles. And the third category, fourth category that we are talking is, in general, we have that PMs or POs, right? The project managers or product owners. So this product owner, not necessarily they should know ABAP, right? Because they know at a MDG as a solution, what are the features are there in MDG. So they don't know, it's not required for them to how to code or anything, but at least if they know, okay, these are the features that SAP MDG offers to us. Now, on top of that one, if they know that one, at least when they're talking to the customers, because they are the product owners, their main intention is to build end-to-end solutions for the business. The product owners, they are responsible for one particular business processes, right? Now, to achieve that business process, whether you use ABAP or SAP or Oracle or something else, they are least bothered in generally, because under PM or PO, they'll already, you will be having the respective functionals or developers, the engineering team will be there who actually supports this one, right? But for them, for the product owner, why they need to learn MDG? When they're actually talking to the customers, they can actually understand what is the current business process, what MDG is offering, what are the pain points of that particular customer, how we can address those pain points using this MDG solution. So if they don't know what MDG is offers, what are the features that are there in MDG, right? They cannot actually suggest a right solution for the business. So that's why having a knowledge, like if the product owners are working on MDG area, or if they are working on MMR, SD, or WM, the respective the overview and the features, those knowledge should be there for project managers or product owners. Okay. And there is one more type of target audience. So those are like MDM. So before MDG, so there is a governance solution offered that is master data management. Okay, so this particular master data management initially is not with SAP. Later, what SAP has done is they acquired this particular organization, and they owned this particular MDM solution. After that, they are actually delivering, or they're selling it as a MDG product, this MDM. But over a period, what SAP has done is they are already understood that they've gone through that, because this is the oldest solution that is available in master data. Okay. So what SAP has done is they actually gone through this particular MDM solution, and they understood, okay, what are the features are there, how it is actually benefiting the customers and everything. So they build, by looking at all the MDM features and everything, they build an equivalent product called MDG. Okay, now what is the difference between MDM and MDG? Because MDM is a non-SAP solution. Now, the advantage that SAP get is when they build an MDG solution in SAP using your ABAP program, and because MDG is nothing but it deals with all your master data, and you will be creating a master data in MM modules, in SD modules, in warehouse, finance, everywhere you will be creating the master data. So if I create one add-on solution on top of my SAP itself, where it will be like cutting across all these modules, okay, so that will be a best choice for the customers. They can actually go to MDG instead of MDM. Okay, so that's where actually this MDG started. SAP started with MDG, and today most of the places wherever you see SAP, so MDG is also integral part of your SAP. Right. So I see these are the different type of roles who are already working on MDM, and most of the time they think that, okay, now MDG is a feature, so they're actually migrating to MDG. So because this is a non-SAP product, at least by learning this course, they can actually gain the functional knowledge, and they can their profile, they can update it as a MDG functional, because they cannot actually go for a developer role, because this developer role requires knowledge on ABAP, because these MDM folks are not technical folks. Okay, even if they're technical folks also, the backend, the platform, the skill that is using for MDM is different from your ABAP. So that is the reason it's difficult challenge for them to learn, develop, get into an MDG technical, but they can actually correlate their profiles with MDG functional. Why? Because most of the features, whatever you see on MDG, the same features are also available in MDM. Okay, so for the MDM for MDM resources, it will be easy for them to change their profile to MDG functional role. And PMs and product owners, it's okay, right? So they wanted to know what is MDG, what it offers, what are the features are there. So because usually what happens, SAP, when they implement this kind of come up with these products, so they implement the industry best solutions. So they contact all the different industry leading customers, and they understand what are the processes that they are implementing in managing their business processes, and their solution will exactly align with the whatever is happening, right? So that's where as a new customer, when I'm going to start my business, I no need to bother about how to implement the solution and everything, because there are many customers who are also running the similar business as like me, and SAP offers the similar kind of solution. So I can just pay the money and get that SAP, get it installed and configure as per my business needs. So that saves a lot of time, right? So that's where actually the advantage for them is because MDG sits always on top of SAP, so they can make use of the best out of all the MDG, the other modules. So this is a little bit a high level introduction, some background about MDG. So any questions?
I just wanted to know, how does this fit into S4 HANA? How is it like? I know you said it's an independent module, but is it something, an integration required, or is it something simple plugin or some connection or whatever? And then once it's on S4 HANA, then how does it connect to, say, MM module or any other module?
Yep.
And how does the data flow through? And how is it generally?
Sure. So
Actually, just sorry to interrupt. Just one addition. So I'm assuming that you will also cover deployment options like outside S4 as independent system as well as the embedded MDG, right?
So as once we cover this first chapter, it covers the architecture overview, how it where it positions in your overall SAP. Either it can be S4 HANA or it can be ECC. Okay, so what is the architecture of your MDG, and what are the deployment options where I can activate my MDG component in SAP, right? So we will be discussing in detail in the first chapter. So that I think that this chapter will answer both of your questions.
Right. Okay. So just I don't know whether the course has this, but do you have S4 HANA as in general overview as well with the with along with this, because we talk MDG as a module within S4 HANA, but I think a little bit of knowing about S4 HANA in terms of technical and things like that would be really helpful. But I don't know whether it's covered in that.
This course will be exclusively for MDG. Okay. So,
Yeah.
and MDG is not only exist with S4 HANA, before S4 HANA also it's there. On MDG ECC version also, on ECC, when SAP is using ECC version also, MDG is there. Okay. So we
Okay.
will discuss let's hold on your question till this deployment options, and then after end of this chapter, we can take it. Maybe some of your questions or doubts will get clarified.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, fine. So now this is just very high level overview on MDG background. But when it comes to in general, okay. So so you can see my screen. This assume that this is one SAP system. Okay, so this is SAP system. Okay, now in this SAP system, it can, when I say SAP system, it can be your S4 HANA or it can be your ECC version, anything. Okay, so this is your SAP system. Now what happens in SAP system, if at all I wanted to, what is a master data? Basically this MDG, right? Master data governance. We say it deals with master data. Okay, so what is a master data in general without SAP also, in any other ERP packages, what is a master data? So master data is nothing but you create once the data, and the duration of your master data will be for longer term, right? So you don't change it very frequently, this master data. It will go for a changes on very rarely. Okay, so you create a master data once and you use it for longer duration, which means let's take example of materials, right? So examples for materials, anything like your laptop, okay, or else it can be it can be your Xbox or anything, whatever you create in the system, as a material when you are selling some goods. So first you should create that good in your system, right? So when you create this particular master data in a system, okay, and you use this master data for multiple purposes. That means you can use this master data, the same material in your sales process, in your purchase process, in your financial accounting, okay, in your goods movement documents, in goods received documents. So likewise, all you can use it in multiple places, but your master data will never get changed, or it can go for very rarely some changes. So this is one example, material. The other example, customer master. Okay, so customer master is something like you create a customer and in a system, and the customer data, it will never get changed, or else very rarely, if at all there is a change in their bank data, so they'll raise a request, and their latest bank data will get updated in the customer master record, or if they're changing their address or email ID. So because that won't happen on regular, right? You cannot change your email ID or your address very frequently. On very rare, it will change. Similarly, you have vendor master. So vendor master is also again another record where you set up all the supplier, vendor or supplier in your system, and you do business with those suppliers for longer term, right? So with the same supplier, you keep on continually procuring the goods or materials from the particular vendor, right? So the vendor number will be there in the system. So these are the master data, some of the examples where we call it as a master data, like your materials, customers, vendors. In finance space, like you have something called cost centers, profit center, GL account, okay, company code. So these are the different objects which we create, and we refer them as a master data. Okay, now other than master data, what we have, transactional data. So transactional data is nothing but where you create a sales order. So your sales order is nothing but one transaction activity. You create a sales order, and the lifespan of your sales order is once the goods is delivered and the payment or invoice is cleared, that's it, your sales order is completed. Right? So likewise, you can create a number of sales orders by using your master data. So there is a difference between master data and transactional data. Transactional data will be, it always uses your master data, and the lifespan of your transactional activity or transactional data is very short, whereas your master data will be there in your system for longer purpose, longer duration. So that's how actually this master data is there. And now this particular master data, why, how it was there before MDG. Okay, we all know that SAP is there. It's almost from 1970 or 1980 onwards SAP is there. But your MDG introduced at least in last 7 to 8 years.
So I had one doubt over here. It was
Yeah.
about the part of supply chain.
Mm-hmm.
Does SAP MDG support supply chain also? Kind of, suppose there is a unit which is into manufacturing unit.
Mm-hmm.
They are creating some components, or they are creating any kind of auto or kind of things. Can we integrate MDM there also as a part of if I have a parts MDM, right? What all parts are used into each versioning is there. Does it support that part also?
Yes. So because when I say master data, so this master data, let's say for example, your suppliers are materials, right? So you create the material. Okay. Now this material you will be using in your supply chain processes as well, right? And the properties that are available at your material master record, those properties will be used or consumed in your supply chain processes as well. So that means if supply chain process, whatever the process that you mentioned, if those processes are consuming your materials or else customers or vendors.
So one thing, let me ask you something differently. When you say material and when I say a product, are they same in terms of
Yep.
the SAP's landscape? For
Yes.
example, okay,
Yes.
please go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So in S4 terminology, we call it as a product.
Oh, okay.
in normal ECC, before ECC, we have earlier, we call this as always a material only.
Okay, I
Okay.
got it.
When SAP introduced this S4, from then onwards, they started using this as a product. But it refers the same object.
Okay. So it's possible that there could be multiple versions of same product based on the usage of that product in the larger component or other life cycle events, correct?
Yep.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, fine. So now let's take any one SAP system. It can be your ECC or S4 system. So if at all I have to create a master data before MDG, when MDG is not there, okay, if at all I have to create any master data in my SAP system, in SAP we have something called transactions. Okay, who are actually already aware of this, working on SAP, so they are well aware of these transaction codes. Transaction codes are nothing but where you invoke your application to create a master data to perform some activity. Okay, so this activity can be material creation or customer creation or vendor creation or anything. Okay, so if before MDG, if at all I have to create a material, there is a transaction code available in SAP, that is nothing but MM01 is a transaction code. So the user will log into first SAP system. He will enter this particular transaction code MM01. Okay, and once they enter this transaction code, it will open up a UI application. And on this particular UI, user will be maintaining all the data with respect to material. That is, what is the material number, material description, the unit of measures, and probably the sales related information for this particular material, purchasing related information for this particular material. So like that, accounting related information, your storage location related information. So everything you will maintain in SAP when you are creating a material using MM01. So this is for creation part. Similarly, you have something called MM02 where you can actually change a material. That means you wanted to further edit some properties, you can make use of this one, right? So all this is happening in SAP before MDG, and as soon as user fill the data and he click the submit button, then automatically this particular data gets stored into the backend tables. Okay, the data gets saved means basically it gets stored into your backend tables. So after this, if at all you wanted to edit the data, you can again enter your material number, click on edit button. So this will again bring back the same material onto your application. So on this record, you can further do some changes. Now, what is a challenge in this process, right? So you can see here, when a user actually go to this transaction code and open this UI, and he may be or may not be expert in that particular material. So when you're creating a material, we will be, there is a lot of information that will be feeding, okay, like your basic attributes and unit of measure related data, sales related data, purchase related data, and then accounting information. And then you have something called warehouse related information, storage related information. Okay, so likewise, there are n number of views are there, and in each view you will have some group of attributes, so user will be maintaining. So now this particular user, he open this UI, he can enter some data and click the save button. So as soon as he enter the save button, as I said, this data is already gets created in the system, and this data can be used for, because the material is already available. Now I can use this material for my transactional activities. I can create a sales order, purchase orders, right? Now, what is the guarantee that whoever the person entered here, that has the right value? Usually, how do you ensure that that in my team someone entered someone created one program? Now, how do we ensure that, okay, we will give it directly, we will deploy that program directly in the production? No, right? Because if someone creates that program, there will be a lead. The technical lead will review his code, and if there are any comments are there, he will If there are any comments are there, the team lead can actually pass on the comments to him to correct that program. That is one level of check it will happen. The other check is we will ask the developer to create one unit test document and to capture all the scenarios for this particular program. So that is the second level of check. And the third level is we will hand over this program to the some functional testers. They will test and they will give you the comments. That is the third level of check. So likewise, before deploying into your production, your program will go through these many checks. But when I'm creating a material in my system, there is no such kind of process. If I have an authorization to create use this UI, I can go ahead and do that, and I'll save the data. Right? So in this, with this approach, what happens is there are the data that you are creating for your master data, right? So that is having lot of quality issues. Okay. Okay, because there is no review process, there is no governance process. So it is actually having lot of quality issues. When I say quality issues, maybe when you are creating a record, you might be missing some of the mandatory information, or that could be your address data or bank data or your phone number or your email address or your material, some properties. So they can actually miss any of the information, right? So with this data, which with this quality, we cannot actually rely on that okay, how many materials are there in my warehouse today. So I may or may not get the right status, right? So because of this one, I will procure more materials. So that is again, I'm doing a mistake. My decision is wrong. Basically, you have the data, but there is no transparency. Okay, you don't have any visibility how much is that data is available or not, right? So likewise, your decisions can be wrong if your master data is also wrong, right? So that's where what SAP has done is they introduced a kind of add-on component. That means in my SAP system only, I can actually basis will activate your MDG component. So they'll activate the MDG component. Now, how this MDG component offers, what features it offers to me? Okay. So here also you will have one UI application. User will log into that UI application. He will maintain the data. And once he maintain the data, what happens is he will basically submit the request. Okay. Or once he submit the request, unlike your the regular ECC flow where the data directly gets stored into your tables, here there is something called SAP introduced a concept called staging concept. Staging concept. Okay. So in this staging concept, you will have some bunch of tables. We call it as a staging tables. And as soon as I create a record or I do some changes to the record, this data initially gets stored into my staging area. So this data cannot be used for my transactional purpose. I can use only the data that is available here. But this data, I cannot use it. Okay. So that means once the requester submits, it goes to the approver, and approver will review this particular data, whether it is correct or not. And if they think that, okay, this data is correct, then if required, you can add one more level of approval process, or we call him as a steward. It's a role. Steward is a role. Okay. So we can actually take it for the next level review, and that particular person will review your data. If he thinks that there is some corrections required, he can actually reject the request and he can set it back to the original developer. If this is correct, he can actually initiate something called activation process. That means in your activation process, what happens is your inactive record. Inactive record means the data that exists in your staging table, right? That will move to the underlying ERP tables. Okay. Now I can only the transactional activities, only the transactional processes can consume the data only from this particular portion, only from this particular down portion. Okay. So that means whatever the data that is coming out of my staging table, let me draw it again here. So assume that this is my MDG component and this is the staging data and this is the active data, right? And this is the user logged into the system and he clicked on the save button. Okay. Submit button. The data gets submitted into this particular table. and after that it will go for some review process, approve process, and finally, when the final approver approves that request, then what happens? That is the time the data will be moved from your temporary or staging area to the actual table. So once my data record is available in this particular actual table, this data can be used for my transactional purposes. Not this data, always this data we will be using. So if you notice the difference, as part of MDG, MDG introduced something called staging area concept. It also introduces a concept called workflows. Workflow means where the requester will submit, it goes to approver will review the data, then he can initiate next level approver, okay, or auto approval. So likewise, there are multiple workflow scenarios are there. We will be discussing during this course, right? But what is the major difference? So first, SAP comes up with this kind of staging area concept. So because of the staging area concept, whatever the data that user submits, it never directly gets into your active area or your underlying actual master data table. It will go through this channel. So if it is going through this channel means basically there are group of people, not only one people in your SAP. If you log into SAP and create a material, it's only you are creating a material. But in MDG, there are group of people who are actually contributing for the master data creation. And those group of people are the experts in those areas. So when I submit a request, it goes to the finance department. Finance department are the experts in maintaining the finance attributes. And once they submit, it can go to your maybe sales department. Sales team knows that based on this material type or material group, whether I have to, this material has to be extended to what are the sales organizations. So likewise, the data will be reviewed and approved by the respective experts in that particular master data, right? That's how we always ensure that whatever the data that comes via my MDG channel into my actual table, that record we consider it as a golden record. Okay, so this golden record means this golden record has gone through all my MDG governance processes, not only workflow. We add some business rules like validations, derivations, and also it goes through the duplicate check. And we so there are placeholders. We can actually incorporate our validations, derivations, all that sort of things in MDG. So because your record is going through this entire flow, your MDG layer. Okay, so then what happens is all the rules will be applied for my record, and if whatever the record that is coming out of that particular area, staging area, into my actual table, so that particular record is a golden record for me. Okay, if I don't have MDG, user will log in over here, he'll create that data. Once you create a data in this system, right, even though you cannot revert it back, that okay, because the master data usually you cannot revert it back. You cannot delete that data. You need to just archiving the data only, right? So that's the difference between your MDG and with MDG and before MDG, how it works. Any questions?
So are these
question.
so I'm sorry.
Yeah, so if okay, so master data normally should be less in quantity or less in numbers, but if there are like hundreds and hundreds of such master data, and does it have to go through all these through a lot of what they call it as a bureaucratic process to come to the actual usage? So if I take, for example, auto manufacturing companies, they have millions of such records. May not be all master data, but maybe master data. So how does that? I mean, how long does it take to get there? Is there a generic blanket rule kind of process where it takes, okay, all these records, everybody will accept it, everybody will approve it, it gets into the
Yes.
active data immediately, S4 in a database immediately, or in a particular time, something like that?
Yeah. Okay. So that basically it talks about the your business process. Let's say, for example, you wanted to create a material, right? So in your organization, when you are creating a material, it's not like you will follow the same SLA for every type of material. There are for some materials where you need to take some time, because you know, based on your previous experience, depends on all the your resources that are available, this is how much time you take it. Okay. And
Okay.
there are some certain materials or certain things where it can auto approve. Auto approve means there are, it won't, no need to wait, so it will
Okay.
automatically create that one, right? So now when you look at any MDG process, I'm just explaining one typical workflow in MDG, how it look like. If
Mm.
at all I have to create a material, a typical workflow look like this. A requester will be there. Requester will open the UI, enter the data, he'll click on submit button. Once he submits, it goes to approver. Okay, approver
Yeah.
can review the data submitted by this previous person, and he will take his time and he'll submit this, approve this request. Then it can go to, let's say, maybe one more level authority. We call him generally the role as steward. Steward is the super authority in any master data scenarios. Okay, and steward also, it's a one more additional check we are adding. So steward also can review this data, and once he finalizes, says that okay, this is good to go, then we activate the record. When I say we activate the record, that means the data that exists in my MDG layer into my staging table, that record will be get activated. That means the record will move from here to here. Okay, so
Yeah.
this will happen only at your activation step, and once this is successful, your workflow will be completed. So this is the end-to-end scenario. In between, approver can also reject the request, or steward also can reject that request. When they reject this request, that means there might be some reason why they are rejecting this request. One reason could be that maybe some of the mandatory information is not filled, or the entered data might be incorrect, or else this record already, similar record is already exists, it's a duplicate record, why you wanted to create it again. So the reasons can be anything, but there is a option that where they can reject that request. When they reject this request, we will have something called revision team, and they will review the data, and at the
Yeah.
same time, they also look at the comments maintained by the approver, why they are rejecting that request. And if the comment says that, hey, this is a duplicate record, this revision team can still further do a final rejection. Okay, final rejection. If they do the final rejection, your workflow will be completed and your changes will be reverted back to the original position.
Yeah. Well, I understand the workflow process, but how does this whole thing work if it's a bulk quantity? That's what my
Yeah.
question is. Is that
So now let me, I'm coming back to that particular thing only. So before getting into answering your question, so you see it's a multi-step process. Okay. And
yes.
at approver level, business defines certain things. What are the checklist? What are the things that you need to review, right? For that particular one, business will be aligning with some SLA. Let's say this SLA will be once the request comes to the approver, he should approve within half day.
Yeah.
And at steward level also it will be within half day. So this is
Yeah.
an agreed timeline that where the business will the respective teams will take that much of time to take an action. It can be immediate to half day. Okay, so now if I compare, right, request for requester, he might be having, let's say, 1 day SLA, right? So if I club all these things, it will be like 2 days to complete my request. So that's how we calculate the SLA or the time, right? Now, if the time should be, this time should be aligned with the business processes as well. Now, coming back to your question, how much time it will take? So for bulk updates, right? So this kind of workflow is basically, here we are not talking about this workflow for one object or for mass processing. Even your mass processing also can have these many steps, or one object creation also, it can go for these many steps. Now, what is important is that depends on the volume of data you have. I am not saying that, okay,
Yeah.
if I am updating 100 records at a time, assume that it took probably 2 seconds for 100 records. Then if you calculate this one, let's say, for example, for 1000 records, I cannot say it will take like I mean 2 into 2, probably 4 seconds. It can take more also. Okay, or if your work processes are less or your system resources are free, then it can close in a shorter period as well, right? So there will be a proportionally, there will be some lag in the sense it will be like not in days or kind of thing. Maybe instead of taking, if you're uploading initially 100 records, assume that it took probably 1 minute. When you're uploading probably 1 lakh of records, it might take maybe for some 5 seconds. Okay, but there are tools are there in MDG. SAP provided certain tools where you can actually perform your single object updates. Also, you can perform mass operations.
Okay, so sorry, one final question. When you say object, does it mean, is it a
Master
particular
data.
unique master data, like
Yes.
one
Yes.
customer?
Yes, one customer or one
So
material.
the object you meant is just one customer
Yes.
as a master data.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
not the table objects or anything you're talking about.
No, nothing. It's a
Okay.
The master data.
Right. Okay, so there is a bulk option as well possible. Maybe with another additional tool or something, bulk is possible. And one workflow doesn't mean that one customer. It could be 100 customers,
Yes.
group them together,
Yes.
and then go through the same workflow process.
Yes.
And same business rule can be followed for all 100 customers, not just one customer. So in that case, there's a process of getting all those things done much faster way. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Take a simple example. When you're ordering something in Amazon, right, or any online e-commerce portal, right? You wanted to buy maybe some 10 objects or 10 goods, 10 articles. Then when you select all your articles, and then finally you make submit that request and complete the payment. Then depends on the situations. Maybe they will create one single request for all your orders, or else they can create two requests for maybe five each articles, right? So that means there we are not actually handling one object. One request means it can have 10 articles also. The same way, I can update one material, 1,000 materials, 10,000 materials, or 1 million of as well.
So now I'm
So
not talking
one thing-
about the quantity. It's just a type. I think categorizing together can be done in bulk. That's fine. And the workflow is also customizable, right? So this
It's
is
a
something
fully
that
configurable. It's a fully configurable, and a functional consultant can configure these kind of workflows without writing single line of ABAP code.
Okay, thank you.
So one thing, Akshay, would be that in the context of this workflow, what you're talking about is a data steward workflow that every MDM tool offers, right? Now, from the point of view of SAP, do we have any UI you could show us if you have any up S4 or ECC? I'm not SAP, so I'm sorry for my language. Do we have any UI available here which we can see?
Yes.
And then MDM as a tool goes beyond workflows. There are other processes like data quality, data ingestion, data publication, right? You have to maintain all those things in the overall MDM implementation, right? How does MDG cover those areas of implement? Because putting data into MDM could be just one of the ways of putting in, and then what MDM does is kind of process it, creates make it bulk output, single output, does all that. How does MDG do that part? Could you go in that, touch upon those areas also?
Exactly. So let me show you UI, how MDG UI look like. Okay, but and also whatever I highlighted one workflow. Workflow is one aspect of your governance process. Okay,
I agree.
There are much more, like it from your replication. How to replicate distribute the data to the different systems? How I can search the data? How I can identify the duplicates of my master data? How can I configure the business rules? So everything there are how I can actually measure my data quality, right? So how I can perform the bulk updates. What are the options are there? So there are n number how I can consolidate the data, merging multiple records into a single record. Okay, so there are multiple features are there in MDG that offers. We will be discussing all those features.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay, so give me 1 minute. I'm logging into SAP system. I will show you
Sure. Yeah.
how
Okay,
it
just take your time. Thank you.
look like.
Normally, how much time it takes to
Usually
implement
it will be
MDG? Usually, MDG
sorry?
implementation, how much time it takes in a org?
It's actually spread across 3 months to 1 year as well. Depends on the complexity of that the implementation, and it all directly proportional to how many systems you are integrating. What is your
Okay.
source system, target systems? How many rules you have? Business processes. How many business processes you have? Depends on all
Okay.
those, right? So, but usually it's spread across minimum 6 months to 1 year for one object. One object in the sense for material master. Similarly, you have business partners, customers, vendors. So all are different objects are there.
Okay. Okay. So you call them objects, not domains. Okay. Got it. Perfectly fine. All right.
Okay. So now you see this is one of the this we call it as a MDG. This is a home page for the material master, material governance. In the top you see the tab, right? So this is
Right.
the home page for material master. All the operations activities you can perform here with respect to your master data. Similarly, you can see on the right this one. This is for the customer master. Okay. Similarly, this is for the contract account. So likewise, you have different home pages are available. And now let's take example of material master.
So Akshay, one thing, let me ask you, while you're talking about accounts, you're talking about customer, which all objects are available under MDG in SAP?
Yeah, so we will like materials, business partners, customers, vendors are there. So that we will discuss in some upcoming session.
No, I'm saying what all are the different objects available, which are MD supports. I'm saying those
That's what
which
I'm
are
saying,
the
like
areas.
material master, right?
Okay, first
MDG.
MM. Okay.
This is
What?
all these are the out of box solutions. Business
Okay.
partners, customers, vendors or suppliers, vendors/suppliers. Okay.
Okay.
Now under finance area, you have something called cost center, profit center, cost element, GL account. Okay. Likewise, you have couple of more objects. And
Is
again,
GL also a part of MDG?
yes.
Because okay,
Okay. Article master is also there. Okay. So if
article.
if you
Okay.
are implementing IS retail add-on, so you can make use of article master also. You can govern this particular object. Similarly, under plant maintenance module, SAP plant maintenance module, we have something called equipments, functional locations, then bombs. So these two are the solution extensions that are available. I will talk about what is the solution extensions. But from SAP, these are the out-of-box objects already available in the market today. SAP supports all these objects, right?
So when you say article in the context of retail and a material or a product in the S4 HANA world, how are they different in that aspect of it?
Okay. So article master, the base or the background is material only. On top of that one, IS retail comes up with its own features, functionalities. So those functionalities are added, or your material master enhanced to support this IS retail solution. For that one, they introduce some new concepts and everything, right? So the basic flavor is material only, but on top of that one, it supports a lot of features.
Okay.
So we consider this as a separate object when compared to your MM.
Are we going to discuss all these objects while explaining MDG?
Actually, this MDG framework is a common framework. That means if I know how to configure, implement MM, so if you know this one, it's the same thing for all other objects as well.
Okay.
So we will be discussing different objects, right? But there is no need to learn each and every object separately.
So
If I know how to configure MM, you can follow the same steps for all other objects as well.
Okay.
So when you say a business partner versus a vendor or a supplier, how are they different in the SAP world?
So in S4, especially in MDG, when you are creating a vendor or customer or supplier, right? So basically it will happen via business partner only. Okay, without business partner, you cannot create customer vendor. If there is no MDG and if you are on ECC version, you can create vendors without business partners.
Okay. Okay. So
So we
that's
will
the kind.
discuss those things. Yeah, we will discuss,
Okay.
we'll go
We will
through.
talk about that part.
Yeah,
Okay.
all
Okay.
those things. But now if you look at, this is the home page, SAP out of box UIs are available where you can search materials. You can create a material. Again, you can actually change a material, right? And after that, you can see this subsection. This section talks about how you can perform the mass updates, how you can
Mm-hmm.
process bulk materials, all the
So here
uh,
we can see MM. So what about BP and all these
those are
things?
there. I'm in governance homepage. You see this.
Okay,
This is a material governance homepage.
okay,
Similarly,
okay.
for business partner customer, you have this similar kind of home pages.
Okay.
Okay. There is something called. You can also look at your workflows related status, or you wanted to go through the audit who changed what. So all that information, there are UIs are there. You can generate reports out of your master data.
So what you said same means the process reporting, data replications, all are same for finance or
Yeah, yeah,
anything
everything is
models, right?
same. Everything is
Okay.
same. Everything is same.
So one thing will be like, do we get predefined set of attributes in the world of, for example, in the MM world or in the world of product, and
Yes.
then for customer or for vendor, they are fixed. These fixed attributes, or SAP allows them to be customized to my
You
requirement.
can customize. You can customize. So SAP comes up with out of box means they come by default certain attributes. On top of
Uh-huh.
that one, you can enhance that solution. You can enhance that. You can customize as per your business needs.
So will that be a part of ABAP part of it, or these are
Some of
business
them,
understanding?
few things that falls under ABAP scope, few things falls under functional scope.
Oh,
Few
okay.
steps. Okay. So we will discuss those things, how we can enhance all. That is what our entire course.
Okay, okay, I got it. And one thing will be, when you say replication, is
Hmm.
replication different than broadcasting or data publishing? If we
Yeah, it's a
want to
data
say
publishing only. So a
publishing only,
typical
okay.
world in MDG, how it look like is you have your MDG system, right? And it's not
Mhm.
only the one system you will be having in your organization. In the landscape, you might be having multiple systems, SAP 1, SAP 2, and some non-SAP system. Likewise, you can have multiple systems, right? Which they need the master data. So you create the master data in MDG, you distribute the data to the respective target systems.
So there is no way those systems can take it at real time from MDG?
It's a
Does it?
real-time application, real-time only.
No, when you say a replication, it means that I have a process which is doing something on the MDG, will do a process, create a golden record, and then replicate. Now,
Yes.
for example, if as a MM master, I add a new product, or I make a different version of a material, store in the MDM. Now, unless I replicate, they would not know. So does SAP not have a way of them
It's
inquiring
auto
it?
replicate. It, see, that is again a fully configurable one. As
Okay,
soon as
okay.
some update happened to my material, it can,
Mm-hmm.
should I replicate the data to all my target connected systems or not, right? So there are things are there. We will discuss the features, but definitely you'll have very good features compared to MDM. Okay, we will discuss each and every topic because we have all these topics. If you look at our course structure, right, we have something
Uh-huh.
called the staging area is configured. What are the UI applications are there? So what are the data quality aspects, data replication point of view? Then we have some roles, and we also have other data quality measurements. So there are different everything is part of our course. So this covers your complete MDG course. Okay, is that fine?
Yeah. So all these WebDin Pro, DRFs and all come under these concepts, right?
Yeah, everything will be covering up, and
Workflows, bodies,
yes,
and
yes, yes, yes.
all these things. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll stop here today and we'll continue our discussion. So tomorrow we will go through some more in detailed discussion on the MDG overview itself, what we are going to discuss, how this course is structured, everything.
So is there another introduction session tomorrow, or is it
No, it's a continuation.
continuation?
No, it's continuation of today's session only.
And what time is it tomorrow?
Same time, same time.
Same time.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. No, that's fine. So I just wanted to know the full syllabus and also the material that I need to be using studying. So once you have finished your class, then is there a way of going and then reading some materials, either PDF or from website or something like
I will
something as
be sharing, even in the ZaranTech also has some documents. So I will be sharing whatever my collection of the documents that use or I collected, right? So we'll go through those
Okay.
things. Documentation will be there, some hands-on
Yeah.
will be there. We will be going
Yeah.
through every topic that we are going to discuss in a system only in the hands-on. It's not only theory.
Yeah.
Only first two,
Okay.
3 sessions will be kind of, because we need to adapt to that the terminologies, right? So the concept, everything. So that's the reason first 1 or 2 will be like theoretical things, but after that everything will be in a system hands-on.
And roughly how long does it cover? I mean, how many
It's spread
weeks are
across
we?
40 to 45 hours.
Okay.
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 So
All right.
yeah, thank you all. We'll catch up tomorrow, same time. Okay.
Thank you for.
Thank you.
Thank you for.
Thank you for attending the session. I hope you all enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Also, feel free to ask your questions in the comment section below, and we will reply to them at the earliest.